Good evening. It's Monday. How are ya? How was your first day of the week? As you see, I am in the kitchen. We're going to make some patty melts. Some good old patty melts. I've got to be careful with where I am putting food. My hound dog all of a sudden has decided she can jump up on the counter and grab things off. And it doesn't go over real well. But how are you? How was your weekend? Anything exciting happen to you or for you? I'm Kitryn Marie, reside in St. Louis, Missouri. Artist, writer, speaker, life and business coach. Teach a variety of art enrichment classes, personal development classes. Not a whole lot going on right now. So while I don't have too much exciting things going on, I'm just going to bring you along in my everyday kind of cooking stuff. Like I said, I'm making patty melts. I had a fabulous salad today for lunch that I brought home from the gig last night. Goat cheese, craisins, shredded carrots, spring mix, and sunflower seeds with blue cheese dressing. Probably not the most healthiest with the blue cheese, but that blue cheese and the goat cheese on it, oh my God, it's delicious. Did you barbecue anything, grill anything this weekend? Did you eat anything really good? Did you go anywhere where you had a fabulous meal? Do you feel like right now that your life is forced? Or do you feel like you are right where you are supposed to be in the moment that you are living your everyday life? We just finished out 2 eclipses that were real son of a bitches. When you're dealing with the public and you were trying to do your job and you were trying to be cordial and polite and you're trying to make money and you have individuals who are just angry at life, sometimes you're just at the wrong place at the wrong time. And although I try to make the most of whatever I do in my life to make it work for me, the last couple of weeks have been a real struggle. Today, though, I'll put this over here right now. Today, though, I actually charged up my camera and got in my vehicle, and I drove into Kinswick so I could take some pictures with my camera. I took one on my phone. I want to get back into using my camera, utilizing it. You know, that's how I got started years ago. I would get in my car and I would drive till I couldn't drive anymore, and then I would turn around and come home and I would take fabulous pictures. I don't have Photoshop on my laptop. I use Pixlr, and I use another app to edit. Picasa is one of them too. But anyway, it was really nice to get out and to walk around. And on Monday they're closed, so I had like the whole town, which my friend refers to as a Hallmark town. She used to live there, had a cute little apartment. But anyway, I walked around and I did chit-chat a little bit with people that I saw, because usually I can make a friend with anyone. And it was nice to get out, 1, out of my house, 2, utilizing, you know, an art tool. Just some looking for things to send me in a new direction and to give me some inspiration and some motivation, because overall it's just not a good place to be right now in my head. I'm bored. I'm concerned about what will happen come winter when I am stuck in this house. I'm looking for my tongs. They're in here somewhere. You know, I'm concerned about what will happen in the winter. How am I going to keep myself occupied? On my Facebook post this morning, I hope you can hear me, on my Facebook post this morning, I put up some Christmas paintings. You know, I need to get back to teaching my classes. I need to get back to doing some photography. I need to get back on the road and travel. That's who I am. That is what I am all about. Very much a free spirit, very much an entrepreneur. But I had put up some Christmas paintings for my painting classes. I have not raised my prices. Turn that down. I have not raised my prices really since the beginning. I charged $45 a person. I did up. It was have 10 paying guests, and you being the 11th, you get yours free. I do have it now where you must have 11 paying guests, and you as the hostess being the 12th person, you get yours free. Bring all the supplies. I come to you, you pick your theme. It's really fun. It's 3 to 4 hours. I was looking online to see if there was like anybody who was looking for actual art teachers. Here's the crazy thing. One of our bigger schools has a continuing education, and aside from like our community colleges. But anyway, one of the bigger school systems has a continuing education, and they only pay $11.26. I suppose if you were on a fixed type income, and that would be okay. That is not okay for me. If I'm charging $45 a person and they're charging, paying $11 an hour for however many people, that doesn't work, and it doesn't make sense in my mind. But when I got started in 2011, I was teaching group painting classes, and like I said, I started doing photography. I'd like to get a new camera. I did buy a CarPlay, and this is kind of a funny type story. I am not technically savvy at all. As smart as I am over some things, technical things I am not. And my mind does this very weird thing. I'm not good at reading directions. I'm not good at watching something on YouTube, how to figure out how to do something. I'm not wired like that. I have to have somebody actually show me. But I bought a CarPlay so I could have my GPS on my dash instead of using my phone. I also created a playlist, which I didn't have before. In the last, 5 years, 6 years, because of the environment in which I work and the 3 types of genres of music, I like quiet when I'm driving. I like quiet in general. My TV is never on. Rarely do I listen to music, but anyway, because now I have the CarPlay, I had to create a playlist. So Tyler, my youngest, who's my go-to when it comes to technical things, I'm like, how do I create a playlist? I go, how do I do this? And he's like, well, you do this and you do that, and I'm just kind of looking at him. Well, then he went to go hook up the CarPlay in the car, and it's Bluetooth connected to my phone, but I cannot figure out how to get the sound to go through my car system. And I have the aux cord, and it's not working. One of the little girls I worked with last night, I'm like, will you show me how to do this? And somehow or another, it ended up last night mirroring exactly my phone, and then my screen cover on my phone was on the CarPlay, and I'm like, how did it do that? It never did that before. So it's like I'm trying to learn these things because I want to get back on the road, and I want to do a little bit of traveling. even if it's just stay in a hotel, eat at the Mexican restaurant, and do a lot of thrift shopping. Need to get into a different pattern, back to another way of living, because the one I'm living now, it's not working. It's not working at all. And I feel like my hand is forced, because we all need an income. And when I'm teaching those classes, that's my extra. And since I don't have my horse, you know, I'm twiddling my thumbs. I'm not depressed, because I don't really get depressed. And I noticed within my own body I've slowed down, and some of my fight or flight has completely gone away. Although I did see something today that completely triggered me, and I had to kind of pull myself back in. But I'm just in a completely different place that I have been. Not that I have not been in a place where I don't know the direction, but it's like, how am I to get back? How am I to get back to something that is more fulfilling and more purpose-filled? And when I'm teaching my classes, I feel like I'm fulfilled. I feel like I'm creating an environment for those that want to learn something. And we all go through something. Whether you want to believe it or not, we all go through different things. You know, I was trying to answer or give my point of view of a topic on Facebook, and it's like everybody wants to fight. Everybody wants to have an opinion and shove it down your throat. And everybody wants to be a conspiracist. Now, don't get me wrong, I like a good conspiracy theory, and I have quite a few. But, you know, the whole thing was, since I completely have gotten away from the political side of social media, I don't know really what's going on. And after Mr. Kirk, his life being taken, I specifically have not followed certain entities. Put this here. Because that's the thing, too. When you go down all these rabbit holes, it does something to your internal, and you're trying to understand things, and you're trying to figure things out, and you're trying to see how it aligns with your life. Okay, like I said, I'm making patty melts. I'm not even talking about food. I'm talking about other stuff. This was the hamburger left over from my chili that I made a couple days ago. And I'm going to fry up some smash burgers in my bacon grease, and then I will drain it because I'm going to grill my bread. But, you know, when you're going down rabbit holes and you can't piece together what is happening or why it's happening. And one of the conversations on Facebook tonight was about Medicaid and its cuts, and how it may, because we don't know what's on the other side. That's the thing. People get all in an uproar and they don't know the other side. They only want to get angry about what they've heard without understanding all of the facts. Now, you know, I'm 64. I will be 65 next July. Medicaid is, I think everyone knows, government subsidiary when it comes to our health care. I don't have health insurance. I don't want health insurance. And I'm trying to figure out with Medicare, for someone who has not had any health insurance, how, not necessarily to get around it, because Medicare is tied in with Social Security, which I think it needs to be completely a separate entity. But I worry about those that are thinking a very outdated mode when it comes to healthcare. Way back in the day, you know, you got a job, one that offered a 401k, offered, you know, retirement benefits, offered you health insurance. That necessarily does not apply to today's standard, and not that I'm looking for a big fight on this or a huge disagreement, but the healthcare system has completely gone amok since Obamacare, where everybody at some point thought it was the greatest thing next to sliced bread. It created loopholes, it created red tape, it created a system for profit. I'm not an expert, I don't have all the answers, I never claim to have all the answers. But I have known from my own experience and my own health issues, no hospital is going to turn you away. No hospital is going to refuse you service. Before Obamacare, you could go to your doctor, any doctor, and just pay out of pocket. Now, most people have these co-pays. Their doctor is not in the system, nor can they get the medicine that they really need. Then we go into everyone's all up in arms about the fentanyl issue, but nobody seems to be up in arms about the addiction to prescription pills because of the kickbacks, because of the greedy lobbyists with their hands in, you know, pharmaceutical pockets and into politicians. And it's just one big mess. So, as I was answering, or just giving my view and opinion, the healthcare system, I believe, just needs to crash. I believe Obamacare needs to go away. And I believe the Medicaid system just needs to be reformed. There have been too many people who have abused the system. Now, whatever side of the fence you are on, if people would actually stop and think and do a little bit of research, where their doctors and hospitals and pharmaceuticals, how they have their hands tied because of profit. And then it no longer is healthcare, it's finance. And that's one of my huge pet peeves. If you have a service industry and you were providing care for somebody, finances should be left completely out of the question. And anybody who has had a major health type issue, if you actually sat down and talked with a social worker or the intake person to kind of pick their brain on what they know, you'd learn a lot about how hospitals build and where they get their money and their fiscal years and the grants and the benefactors and how much they already know that they can write off. And it goes back to, again, no hospital can turn you away. And why would you not want your own doctor instead of some healthcare system saying, no, you can't go here because we can't make money like that, you need to go here? I don't understand it. It doesn't seem right. And as my response to this post was, if everybody dropped their insurance, it would be a surefire way for the healthcare system to reform itself, get itself back in gear. So I don't know what was said on TV in the political forum about Medicaid being cut. That is just my personal opinion. When I got sick in 2013, I was diagnosed with a form of leukemia that falls into an autoimmune issue, really. It's on the lowest side of what they want to call a blood cancer. It's mostly, I have a depleted B cell that depletes my immune system where I get tired real easy. My weight is always fluctuating. I feel like I have a cold, but yet I don't have a cold. I feel like I'm getting the flu, but I don't get the flu. You know, brain fog, a little more goofier than what I normally am, but it all falls into that. And when I was going every 3 months to get my blood checked and my weight looked at, because I had just entered menopause, went through a horrific female issue, then went into menopause. I was suffering from adrenal fatigue from a narcissistic abusive relationship, and then being hit with, okay, now you have this disease. And where everyone kept saying, this is your diagnosis, this is your diagnosis, and I kept saying, that's the diagnosis, but what is my prognosis? I don't care what the diagnosis is. I want to know, what can I do to get on the other side of this? And like I said, knock on whatever, I sat down and talked to social workers and intake people, finding out about how hospitals take in money. And if you don't think that sick people allow profits for hospitals, go on over to any of your cancer centers and just kind of walk through, and you will see the hundreds of people that are making hospitals and doctors a lot of money, and they're being told things because people too often give in to fear, and they give in to, well, maybe somebody knows something that I need to listen to, instead of paying attention to your own body, paying attention to your diet, paying attention to your own health patterns and habits, and really trying to get a hold of what you can do to make your life better, not being dependent on prescribed pills if you don't need it, but because you've been talked into something because your doctor is getting some kind of a kickback. It's a vicious cycle. It's an absolute vicious cycle. So as I gave my 3-paragraph, like I usually do when I'm getting into a subject, but my last thing was no hate. The world is ugly enough. This is my thought based on what I know from my experience. And you too get to talk about your experiences. You too get to share how something has affected you. And then you don't want anybody to get angry because their situation has been different than yours, or you're an independent thinker and they're a follower. Or in the flip side of all that, we have people who have health insurance, who have severe things that are wrong with them, and they refuse to go. So who's paying for that insurance, and why have it if you will not utilize what you really need for in an emergency? Now, don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. If you break your bones, of course you're going to go to the hospital. You know, if you're having severe breathing problems and you can't rectify the situation on your own, of course you are going to, you know, go to the urgent care. But like I said, these are just my thoughts, my opinions on things. Because I'm kind of watching the world. Like, there are big changes that are coming. And it's not enough that each individual needs to make these changes for their life. But there are some things that you are just forced to do and to have when it doesn't behoove you at all. So where are you at in all of it? What are you trying to alter and change in your life? What is your image and the way that you are living life that you want to project into the world so people can see how well individually you are doing based on your own thoughts, your own practices, your own personal patterns and behavior. Aside from those that want to portray something different on social media when you know it's just a facade, because you know that there are other things going on behind the scenes that they are not really showing. We live in some really uncertain times right now. And I guess by the time we get to the end of the year, we will see more things present itself. I just hope that it's in our favor and it no longer will cause any more confusion in what we are already seeing. And like I always say, turn your TV off. Limit your social media. I worked my second job on Saturday night in the banquet industry. And I was having some lovely conversations it was a 70th surprise birthday party. The gentleman had went to Rosary High School. And we were talking just about the way life used to be and growing up in a Catholic school system and how so many have gotten away from religion and the morals that come with a society based on doing good because you're believing in something higher, and you want to make that special impact because you are a Christian spirited type person that doesn't want to do evil to anybody else. And the gentleman had also said, our downfall is social media, having too much information that we don't know how to take in and how to decipher. Had a conversation with a clergyman a couple weeks ago, and his take on everything was, which goes back to what I originally said, everybody needs to have an opinion, and everybody wants their opinion heard. And if you do not agree with their opinion, that's what we are seeing where the divide comes in. People are getting angry because they are not understanding the truth that they are looking for, they may never find. And the clergyman himself said the longer we have a society that is constantly creating more things to have an opinion on, it takes you away from the faith value that you were supposed to have. God created you in his or her image, and what are you doing in the Christ-like way? Now, of course, eye for an eye, I don't necessarily agree with that. Turn the other cheek. We are human. But I think it's all a reflection of how we digest our health, our mental clarity, our image, and the way that we want to be perceived by the other people that come into our world. That's a lot. That's a lot of philosophical stuff right there. I gotta figure out where I'm putting all this grease. Got some good smash burgers here. Well, what do you think? Leave a comment below. No hate. No hate at all. And this is an open space. You are entitled to feel the way that you feel. You are entitled to express how a situation has reflected on you. You are entitled to that. All right, where am I putting this grease? Let's get it up out of here. I had this Italian bread that I made last week. This is what we're doing for the patty melt because I didn't have buns and I just didn't want regular burgers. And I think I'd said I'd went to my friend Mindy's house one night last week. She made a fabulous vegetable pasta, and I had taken her the other loaf of Italian bread. But look at that. Is that just not the yummiest thing you've ever seen? I've mastered making bread, and I'm pretty proud about that. My grandmas would be extremely pleased with that. And if the weather would just cool down, it would be wonderful. It was extremely hot today, in the 90s. The mold count was like over 100,000 today, and I have had a headache for the last 4 days that will not go away because of that. All right, let me do this and remove these burgers. The kid is working. He's back to work. His hand is doing better. The grandkids have birthdays coming up here in the next couple of weeks. I wanted to go to Marshall's today to get the girls some pretty Halloween hair things, but I didn't make it over there. Didn't make it over to Plato's either. I need some new jeans. Like I said, I got my camera out and I drove over to Kim's Wick, trying to get the CarPlay all to work. Was there a couple hours and then came home, messed with the dogs. Of course, I took a nap on my day off because working Saturday night till midnight and then last night till 9-ish, the body kind of just finally gave out and said, you're done. And I do listen when it says, because I'd like to go and go, but fight or flight has taken a different role, and I tire extremely easy, and it's too comfortable, where I don't want to not lay down. All right, I am going to slice up my bread. I'm going to take some sharp cheddar, and we're going to call it a night when it comes to my patty melt. So leave a comment below. Let me know what you've been cooking, what you've been doing. Tell me how you feel about the healthcare system. Tell me how you feel about your own body image and your behavioral patterns when it comes to listening to other people tell you about your health. I just want to know. Let's have an open dialogue. You know, these are things I do talk about in my life coaching class when I'm teaching how to put a vision board together. There is a health section. That class is $65. You can do it in group or you can do it private. It's an open dialogue class. You share what you feel where you were comfortable enough sharing, because we learn off of each other. Or if you're interested in taking a painting class, just let me know about that. Pick your theme. I bring the supply. And if you are interested in a personal development business coaching class, how you can learn to do video, how you can use a camera, how you can take better photos with your phone, you know, how to start a business plan, how to take your talents and your hobbies and make some money at it. That class right now I am offering till the end of the year is also $65, and that is a private class. But for today, for tomorrow, be happy, be blessed, be thankful for everything. You know, fate turns on a dime. You decide what side of the coin you want to be on. Have the conversations that you need to. Have the hard conversations you need to have. You know, look at your life. Are you being forced to do something, or are you choosing to stay in something that is not aligned for your highest good or for your health? But take care, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.